On the morning of December 1st, 1948, a well-dressed man was found dead on an Australian beach. He carried no identification. The labels had been cut from his clothing. His fingerprints matched no one. His dental records led nowhere. Hidden in a secret pocket of his trousers was a tiny scrap of paper with 2 words printed on it. Tamám Shud, meaning, "It is finished." It would take 74 years to learn his name. But even now, the mystery of how he died, why he died, and what he was doing on that beach remains unsolved. This is the story of the Somerton Man. December 1st, 1948. Somerton Park, a quiet suburb of Adelaide, Australia. The sun rises over Somerton Beach. It's a beautiful summer morning, the kind that draws families to the shore. But something is wrong. A man is lying against the seawall, his head propped against the concrete, his legs stretched out onto the sand. He's dressed immaculately, a brown suit, a white shirt, a tie, and polished shoes. One arm rests across his chest, the other lies by his side. At first, beachgoers assume he's drunk or sleeping off a late night. Some even see him the evening before in the exact same position. No one thinks to check if he's breathing, but he isn't sleeping. He's dead. When police finally arrive, they find something strange. Despite the warm summer night, the man is wearing a thick wool sweater under his jacket. His clothing is clean and pressed. There are no signs of struggle, no blood, no violence, just a well-dressed corpse on an empty beach. The body is taken to a nearby hospital, and that's when things get truly bizarre. The man carries no wallet, no identification badge, no money. Every single label has been carefully cut from his clothing, his jacket, his shirt, even his pants. The only exception, a single laundry mark, Keen, or possibly Keen. But no one by that name has been reported missing. The man is well built, approximately 40 to 50 years old, 5 feet 11 inches tall, with grey-blue eyes and gingery brown hair graying at the sides. He has unusually strong calves and thighs, suggesting he was a runner or a dancer. His hands and fingernails are clean and well-groomed. His toes are oddly wedge-shaped, as if he'd spent years wearing pointed shoes. Everything about him suggests wealth, refinement, care, yet no one knows who he is. The autopsy reveals something even more disturbing. His internal organs show signs of congestion. His spleen is enlarged. There are traces of blood in his stomach. The pathologist concludes the man was likely poisoned, but no known poison is found in his system. The cause of death? Unknown. The identity of the deceased? Unknown. Police circulate his photograph across Australia, then across the world. They check military records, dental records, hospital admissions. They contact foreign embassies. Nothing. It's as if the man never existed. Weeks pass. Then, on January 12th, 1949, a breakthrough. A suitcase is found at the Adelaide railway station, checked in on November 30th, the day before the body was discovered. Inside, investigators find clothing that matches the dead man's style. Brown trousers, white shirts, a bathing suit, a shaving kit, and once again, every single label has been removed. But there are 3 exceptions. 3 items bear labels: T. Keen or Keen, the same name that appeared on the dead man's clothing. There's something else in the suitcase, a stenciling brush used for marking fabrics, the kind used by merchants or craftsmen. A strange thing for a wealthy man to carry. And then there's the thread, a reel of barber thread, an unusual expensive type often used by cobblers. The thread is orange, the same shade found in repairs on the dead man's trousers. The man clearly knew how to sew. He'd repaired his own clothing with precision and care, but still, no one knows who he is. Months into the investigation, authorities make another discovery. Hidden in a small, secret pocket sewn into the dead man's trousers, a pocket so small it's nearly invisible, they find a tiny, rolled-up piece of paper. On it, 2 words are printed: Tamám Shud. It's Persian. It means finished or ended. But where did it come from? Detectives begin a search. They eventually trace the phrase to a book, the Rubaiyat of Omar Khayyam, a collection of 12th century Persian poetry. The phrase appears on the final page of the book. But here's the thing. The scrap of paper isn't just from any copy of the book. It's been torn out, which means somewhere out there is a copy of the Rubaiyat with its final page missing. The police issue a public appeal. Does anyone have a copy of this book with the last page torn out? And then, incredibly, someone comes forward. In July 1949, 7 months after the body was found, a man walks into a police station. He says he found a copy of the Rubaiyat in the back seat of his unlocked car, parked near Somerton Beach on November 30th, 1948, the night before the body was discovered. The final page of the book has been torn out. The edges match perfectly with the scrap found in the dead man's pocket. But the book holds more secrets. On the back cover of the book, someone has written 5 lines of seemingly random letters in pencil. It appears to be some kind of code. The lines read, some letters are crossed out, others are written over. It looks like a draft or a message someone was trying to perfect. Police bring in military intelligence officers, cryptographers, code breakers. No one can decipher it. To this day, the code remains unsolved. But there's something else in the book. A phone number, faintly written in pencil. The number belongs to a woman living in Glenelg, a suburb just south of Somerton Beach. Her name is Jessica Thompson, though later she'll be known by her nickname, Jestin. Police knock on Jestin's door. When they show her the plaster cast of the dead man's face, her reaction is immediate and visceral. She nearly faints. She's visibly shaken. But then she composes herself. She claims she doesn't know him. The police press her. Why is your phone number in his book? Jestin says she once owned a copy of the Rubaiyat during World War II when she worked as a nurse. She gave it to an army officer named Alfred Boxall. But surely that couldn't be the same book. The police track down Alfred Boxall. He's alive and well. He still has the book she gave him. It's intact, with all its pages. So whose book was found in the car? And how did Jestin's phone number end up inside it? Jestin refuses to say more. She insists she doesn't recognize the dead man. But those who were there never forget her reaction. She knew something. She saw his face, and she was terrified. Years later, Jestin's daughter reveals a chilling detail. Her mother had told her the Somerton Man could not be identified. Not was not, but could not. As if his anonymity was deliberate, necessary, dangerous to undo. So, who was the Somerton Man? Over the decades, theories multiply. Theory 1, he was a spy. The Cold War is beginning. Australia is strategically important. Some believe the man was a Russian agent, poisoned by his own side or by enemy operatives. The cut labels, the coded message, the secrecy, it all fits. But why would a spy carry evidence in his pocket? And why die on a public beach? Theory 2. He was a jilted lover. Perhaps the man was in love with Justin. Perhaps she rejected him. Perhaps he poisoned himself in despair, leaving behind the rubaiyat as a final poetic gesture. Tamám Shud. It is finished. But if he was a suicidal lover, why remove all the labels from his clothes? Why the secret code? Theory 3. He was murdered. The most likely scenario. Someone poisoned him with an untraceable substance, removed his identification, and left his body on the beach. But who would go to such lengths, and why? For 70 years, the answer remains out of reach. Decades pass. The Somerton Man case becomes legendary. Books are written, documentaries are made, armchair detectives obsess over the code. But the man's identity remains unknown. Then, in 2011, a professor named Derek Abbott gains access to something crucial: the plaster death mask made of the Somerton Man's face in 1948. Embedded in the plaster are strands of hair that contains DNA. For years, Abbott and genealogist Colleen Fitzpatrick worked tirelessly, building family trees, tracing genetic lineages, narrowing down possibilities. Finally, on July 26, 2022, they announced their conclusion. The Somerton Man was Carl Charles Webb, an electrical engineer and instrument maker born in 1905. Webb was from Melbourne. He vanished from public records in April 1947, just over a year before his body was found on Somerton Beach. After 74 years, the Somerton Man finally has a name. But knowing his name doesn't answer the real questions. Why was Carl Webb on Somerton Beach that night? Why did he remove every label from his clothing? Who poisoned him, if he was poisoned at all? What did the code mean? And what was his connection to Justin? Some researchers believe Webb may have been a toolmaker or craftsman who fell into espionage during the war. Others think he was a man with a broken heart who chose to die anonymously by the sea. We may never know. What we do know is this: Carl Webb went to extraordinary lengths to erase his identity. He carried a cryptic message. He had a connection to a woman who refused to speak, and he died alone on a beach, taking his secrets with him. The code has never been cracked. The poison was never identified. Justin took her secrets to the grave, and somewhere in the shadows of history, the truth about Carl Webb waits to be discovered. The Somerton Man, a mystery that spanned 74 years. We know his name now, but we may never know his story. I hope you enjoyed this deep dive into one of history's strangest cold cases. Thanks for watching, and until next time, stay curious.